Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Bailey and I'm the owner of baileygoogoogoods. Today's video is going to be kind of like a crash course in how I edit my videos for YouTube, and it's going to be broken up into 5 different parts. And since I didn't want to forget anything, I wrote down all of the different parts that I want to go over. So part 1, I'm going to go over what I use to film and then what I use to edit. Then part 2 is going to be what I call housekeeping basics, which is going to be like putting all of your files into one place, importing what you need into Premiere Pro, and just kind of like getting ready to edit. And then part 3 is going to be how I start editing, and that includes things like my color grading, cutting my clips down, intro stuff, speed, transitions, all of that good stuff. That's going to be kind of like the bulk of it, I guess, or that's what takes the most time for me, obviously. But I won't go into like super duper specifics with that, I guess. I'll just kind of do the basics of that. And then part 4 will be text and photo overlays, any extra special effects that I add. And then part 5 will be adding the music and my sound editing. And I'm going to try to go into a good amount of detail that I think is going to be beneficial. But if you have any specific questions or want me to delve deeper into something, I can do that in a different video. It was suggested in a comment that maybe I do a live one time while I'm editing and people can ask questions there. So yeah, so without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into part number 1.
Part number 1, what I use to film and edit.
Part number 1 is pretty simple. It's just what I use to film and what I use to edit. So for filming my vlogs, I primarily use this camera that you're on right now. It is the Canon G7X Mark II, I think. It's a pretty old camera, but you can still find it on Amazon. I think it's a little bit more expensive than it was when I first bought it. I bought it back in like, I want to say 2016, so I've had it for a long time and it's been really good. I've obviously gotten a lot of good use out of it. I don't use any external mic. The only time I use an external mic is if I am doing voiceovers, and I'll show you that, or I'll put like a picture of it right here. So that's the only time I use an external mic. Everything else is just the mic associated with the camera. And for some videos, I also can just use my phone. I just use it like this for if I'm doing like my walkthroughs, or if I'm going out and about on the town and don't want to bring my camera, I'll just use my phone to film. And that's pretty much what I use to film. And for editing, I use Premiere Pro by Adobe. I know that some people use iMovie, which is also a really good, a really good device to use, but I use Premiere Pro primarily for color grading. And color grading is just basically where you can kind of like apply a filter to your footage to make it look a certain way. So I'll get into that in the next part. But yeah, so that is what I use to film and what I use to edit. So let's just go ahead and head on to part number 2.
Part number 2, prepare your files for editing.
So part number 2 is what I was calling housekeeping basics, and that's basically where you want to make sure that you have all of your files in a place where you can easily find them and they're organized well, so that it's easy to import them into Premiere Pro. So let's just go ahead and do that. So this is Premiere Pro, and this is where I do all of my editing for my YouTube videos, and I've actually already made a project for this. So we're gonna go Vlog 56, Markets for Makers. And this is what the what Premiere Pro will show you when you start a new project. This is going to be your timeline where you make your video with like your clips and your audio and everything. Over here is where you're gonna import your media, like your video, your songs, anything that you're going to put into your timeline. This is where you'll preview your clips, and this is where you'll be able to preview your edited sequence. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull up. This is one of my files where I put all of my clips that I have. So what I've done is just named it what my vlog is, the number of the vlog, and then what the vlog is about. And this is where I've literally just put every clip that I've taken related to the project. And as you see, there are a lot of clips in this folder. Some will be used, some will not be used, but let's just go ahead and take them, and we're going to import them into this little file right here. And this is why I was saying it's really important to make sure that you have all of your video files in one place, so you can easily just put them into your editing folder when you're ready to start editing them. I also have this folder called Vlog Adobe Slides, which are basically like slides that I use in multiple videos that will never change. Like I've got this one, that's my name. I've got my intro. I've got in this vlog. I have my subscribe icon, and then I have all my backgrounds for when I speed stuff up. And then I also have my outro screen. Okay. And then I'll also include and import the sounds that I always use. For example, I use this, static, use this. Okay, so I've imported all of my like picture images, all of my video files, and all of my kind of like standard sounds that I put in my intro and stuff like that. Okay, so now it is time for part number 3, which is how I start editing, like color grading, cutting, intro stuff, speed, and transitions. So let's just go ahead and start doing that.
Part number 3, how I start editing my videos.
Okay, I always start my video with this little gradient intro. So I'll put that in there, and I always make this like 2-ish seconds long. And with this, I always add 2 sound effect sounds. I add this little camera effect, and then I also add this little switch. I'm gonna turn it up, and then you'll hear, yeah. So that's what I do for that, and then I'll start with my first clip. I sometimes have to take a lot of takes of my intros because I feel like I sound really dumb. So I'll start with, hey everyone, welcome to my channel, and make sure I didn't take. Okay, so yeah, so I did start this first one. So then I will put it in my timeline. And something that I do that I find is really helpful to kind of keep track of what videos you've used, I actually will rename the file right here, and I'll put a little U in front, so that way I know that I've used that clip, and so when I'm searching for the next clip, I know not to reuse that one. And then what I'll do for this clip, because it's upside down, I'll have to go up here to my effect controls, and I'll have to re-click on it again. And I will rotate it 180. So there you go. Now I'm looking normal. And this is where I will also do color grading. So with color grading, I actually bought what are called LUTs. And LUTs are basically, if you use like Lightroom and you use presets, it's very similar to presets but in video form. But the first thing I do is I come to basic corrections, and I will auto correct first. And then I will go to my creative, and I'll pick one of my LUTs. I always usually go with the same one. I use this Burst of Color Sun, and I got this LUTs pack off of Etsy, and I always do like half. And then, so yeah, so that's basically how I color grade. It's really easy. I don't really finagle with like saturation, any of these curves, anything crazy like that. That's way above my intelligence level. So yeah, so I just bought that LUTs, and that's basically what I use for every video, and it definitely makes a difference with the vibrancy and the cuteness of the colors. So yeah, that's basically what I do. And then once I do that, I will just watch my video and like make sure where I actually start. So I'll go kind of like as close as I can before my actual like audio starts of me saying, hey everyone, and then I'll just cut it to that. And see if that's right. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Bailey, and I'm the owner of GooGooGoods. And so right after I say GooGooGoods, I'll clip it and take out the little like space of silence in between me saying that and then the next thing I say. Oh, see, there I messed up there. So then I'll just cut it until the next time I talk. Let me make sure this isn't. Today's video. See, it takes me kind of a couple times to say what I want to say. So if you're ever feeling like threatened, like you're like, oh, like, you know, like filming for YouTube is like really crazy, trust me when I say like, it takes me quite a few times to get it right, get what I want to say, because I feel like when I talk, I don't talk very good, or my words come out faster than I can, or like I'm thinking faster than I can talk. So sometimes words will come out like jumbled or like not super good. So trust me when I say you can do it. You got it. Today's video is going to be kind of a crazy one. Okay, so once I've decided that that is looking good, I will go to the effects. And if you ever wanted to know how I do the little like circle out, you just go to iris and then iris round, throw it on there, and then look. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is... And then right before I say Bailey, I put this little overlay of Bailey, and then I will put a little pop. So if it goes, my channel, my name is Bailey, and I'm the owner of GooGooGoods. Today's video is... Yeah, so that's basically how I do this little intro part, and I will edit this a little bit more and I'll check in once it's time to start doing where I take away the audio and I speed up the clip. Now I'm going to talk about how I do time lapses. And so basically what I will do is you'll select the clip that you want to do a time lapse, and I will do the same thing where I rename it as a U, and then I will drag it to my timeline and I'll just put it directly after the last clip. And then I'll do the same stuff that I usually do. I'll do my corrections and then my color grading. So that's easy peasy. And then to detach this audio, you'll do, if you're using a Mac, you'll do Control right click, and then you'll go down to unlink, and that'll make it so that your audio and your video are on like two separate tracks essentially. And then you'll click your audio and then you'll say bye bye. And then to speed it up, you'll do the same, right click, then you'll go speed duration, and I typically like to do like 1000. If I'm really trying to make it do like really fast, I'll do 2000, but let me do 1000 and kind of see how that's looking. Also try to like take out the first part of the clip, because my camera, for some reason, whenever it starts the clip, sometimes it readjusts itself and like refocuses, so you can kind of see my camera like turn a little bit, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think that's going to be a good speed. I also will judge how fast I like it to be compared to the rest of the clips in the sped up sequence, because if it's going to be a long, like super duper long sped up sequence, then I might make the other clips faster so that it's not as long. So this one is going to be 35 seconds, which with the other ones may seem a little bit too long. So I might have to speed that up a little bit more. Also, sometimes when I edit clips out, I like forget to scoot them over. So we don't want any open spots. Okay, so that might be too long, but let's compare it, or like let's put it with the other time-lapse shots and see. Okay, so I'll delete that last little portion. Okay, so then I want to make sure the next clip is also time-lapse. Yeah. So I'll do the renaming, do the same thing where I unlink it, and also something that I do if I'm going to do a voiceover, I will not do the voiceover until the very end, just because like I like to make sure that I have, like, I want to do all my voiceovers at once. I don't want to do one voiceover and then have to like get my mic back out and do more. I like to make sure that I have like all my voiceover clips ready before I do my voiceover, if that makes sense. Okay, so we'll trim that first part out of it. Yeah, I think I definitely am going to be able to speed these up a little bit more. Yeah, so I think I'm going to actually make these 2000. It's 2000. Because I definitely had to set up a lot, so I know that this is going to be a long sequence if I don't make it 2000. So I'm going to keep editing this time-lapse footage and go ahead and get all of that ready, and then I will show you how I put the color border around it.
Part number 4, overlays and other special effects.
Now that I am done editing my time-lapse, what I'm going to do is show you how I do my little photo overlay that causes me to have like the colored border around the edges. So what I will do is I will go and pick the first color. I have like these 3 colors that I like to do in sequence. So I'll do my first one and I just put it above the video clips, and what I'll do is I'll take it and drag it through the whole duration, and then what you need to do is click on it, and then you'll go to Effect Controls, and then you'll have to re-click on it to bring it back up. And then what I do is go to this opacity area right here and click the square, and then it'll bring up this little square. And then what I do is I hit Shift, and it causes this little arrow right here, and I'll pull it out to about that much, and then I click Inverted, and then it puts the video in the little square. And then what I do is I turn off the feather, so make that 0, and then I'll just do this mask expansion and just open it up a little bit, and it gives it kind of like that TV curve like that. And that's basically it. And I think that looks so cute. I love that. So that was part number 4, talking about photo overlays and extra special effects. I would talk about how to do like the little like talking head bubble like I am in right now. But because I don't have that in this video, there's not really a good point in me doing it. So I'm going to link below the video that I saw that showed me how to do this little like head situation. It's kind of complicated, and it's not something that I could just like remember off the top of my head. And I don't know how anyone would just like casually figure out how to do it. But the video that I use to do it is very, very straightforward and tells you exactly what you need to do. So I will link it down below if you've had questions about that. But to film for that, I do what I'm doing now. I'm screen recording while videoing, and then I just like put the two together. So maybe if I have like another video where I'm gonna do the talking head thing that I'm editing, I'll show you how to do that. But that is the end of part 4. So I think what I'm gonna do is just edit this video until it's time for music and voiceovers. I do music and voiceovers at the very, very end of like my editing process. So I'm gonna go ahead and edit this as much as possible, and then I will check back in when it's time for doing the sound.
Part number 5, music and sound editing.
The next thing I want to talk about is audio and sound editing, and what I do to do my voiceovers, and I talked about this earlier in the video, is this mic. And I really like using this mic. It's definitely one of the more inexpensive options compared to other ones that are comparable on Amazon. The only thing that you need to make sure you get if you have a MacBook is you have to get a USB to USB-C little converter thing. So I just plug that in, and then I plug it into my computer, and I will show you the voiceover when I'm doing voiceovers, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how I add music and how I kind of do my fade out. So for music, I use this platform called Epidemic Sounds, and for the pricing, I think it's like, yeah, it's $9.99 a month, it's billed annually. I think right now, because I don't do yearly, it's like $12. It's like $17. So that seems like a lot, but it makes it so you have a bunch of different access to sound effects and different music. So I think that that's worth it for me, since I do consider myself to be a content creator. So yeah, basically that is where I get my music from, and I make little playlists for what I want to use, so I can definitely like refer back to this playlist and see what I have downloaded and music that I think I want to download in the future. So once I have figured out these songs that I want to use, and I pretty much kind of use the same, I try not to use the same songs like in every video. I try to switch it up a little bit, but I do like what I like, so you'll definitely hear some of the same songs. Now that I'm back in Premiere Pro, I will pick a song that I want to use for this sequence right here where I am setting up. I'm going to try to use one that I think is kind of hype, and I know that if you have watched this channel a lot, you have heard this song a lot. It's called If You're Down, I'm Down, but it's definitely one of my favorite songs like on Epidemic Sounds. I think it's like so good and definitely like fits like the vibe I'm going for. So once I put it on my timeline, I'm going to go in here and do the right click, and I'll go down here to audio gain, and I always automatically go to -3, and that just turns it down a little bit because you'll still hear it might be a little bit loud. So what I'll do is I'll try to compare how that volume sounds with like my audio in the clips. So I'll see what it sounds like when it goes from me talking into the song to make sure it's not too loud. Like, I think that's good. And then I'll go over here to the razor tool, and then I'll cut it at the end. And then what I do, there's probably an easier way to do this, but this is how I do it. I'll like cut it up into 4 little chunks here at the end. On iMovie, I think there's an easier way where you can like drag the volume. There's probably a way to do it in Premiere Pro, but I've not like looked that up, so I probably should. And then what I do is kind of do the same thing I did earlier with the audio gain. So I'll do like -3, and then I'll do -6, -9, -12. So I'll see if that sounds like an okay fade out. I think that is the extent of what I'm looking for. Yeah, I think that's good. So that is basically how I will add music to a section, and now I will talk about how I do my voiceovers. So I want to start to do a voiceover here where I'm packing up because I wasn't able to do a check-in at 3 and 4. So what I will do is so that I don't forget anything, I will kind of make like a little script of what I want to talk about. So for this one, I wanted to talk about what my sales were like at 3 and at 4. So once I have gotten all the information that I want to talk about in my phone, what I will do is go ahead and go to Premiere Pro and I will mute it. And if you don't mute it, whatever you say into the mic is going to come out of the speakers and it'll mess you up. So make sure that you mute it. And then what I will do is go ahead and set my mic up a little bit further away from my face because I'm kind of a loud talker. So I'll put it a little bit further away, and then I like to choose to record on a lower timeline just because I'm afraid that if I start like up here on this one that I'll accidentally record over this audio. So I'll start low and it'll give you a countdown. So unfortunately I was unable to do a check-in at 3 and 4 just because there wasn't really any updates because I didn't make very many sales and it was kind of loud in there with the music. So I just decided to do a voiceover talking about it. So at 3 I was at 684, so not super good, and then at 4 o'clock I was at 781. Both of those numbers are not very good and not very high. So it's a little bit frustrating and upsetting because when I ended the day last year on Sunday, it was way better than that. So yeah, that was pretty unfortunate, but let's just go ahead and pack up and get to the car. And then I'll just press the space bar and that's done. So what I will do is I will just listen back to that and make sure it's not too loud. So unfortunately I was unable to do a check-in at 3. So unfortunately, it's a little bit loud, so I will go in here and turn down that gain just a second. I was unable to do a check-in at 3 and 4 just because there wasn't really any updates because I didn't make very many sales and it was kind of loud in there. Okay, so I'm yeah, liking how that is sounding. Just go ahead and pack up and get to the car. So once I've done that, I'll just go ahead and do what I did with the music in the previous clip, but also I'm going to take this and scoot it up now that I've recorded it. So yeah, so I'll just add music here and that is how I do the voiceover. The final thing that I'm going to show you that I do is how I make my intro, and it's really straightforward. It just takes kind of a minute to do it. So what I do is I will go through the clips of what I've already used, and you know that I've used them because they have the little U in front. Now I'll kind of click around and see what clips I think would be good to use in my intro. So for this one, I'll just like click around and kind of find which ones I like. For this one, since my video is kind of creeping up there in time, I might just do where I show it like this. Yeah, something like that. So I'll drag it to my timeline and I'll make sure that it's not covering anything. So I'll put it high up, and then what I'll do for this one, for the corrections, I'll do the auto again, and then I'll choose my filter that I like, but I'll do 100% intensity. I won't turn it down. And I'll kind of see what part of the clip I like to use. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is probably that. Okay. So then I will cut it. And then the way that I put it at the front of my timeline so that it starts before the intro right here, I'll take it and then hold the command button down, and then it'll drop it in front. And then I'll scoot this up. So this is gonna be the first, let's see here, first 3 seconds of the video. So here is the work in progress. And I'll basically just do that multiple times until I have a intro, and then I'll show you what I do after I've got all my clips together. So I've gone ahead and picked the clips that I want to be the intro to my video. And so what I'll do is go back over here and grab my gradient picture. And I'll pull it out to cover the whole thing. And I'll do the exact same process that I did earlier with the speed up. I'll just go back to my effect controls, back to my opacity, shift and pull out, and then I will invert it turn down my mask feather and turn up my mask expansion. And then I will drop in my my PNG of the in this vlog text. So in order to make this in this vlog text, you can use either Canva or Adobe Express. So I will show you how I do it in Canva. In Canva, it's really super easy. You're just going to create a design and you're going to use 1920 by 1080. Once you're in your new design, you'll go to text, add a text box, and then you'll just put, you know, whatever you want in this vlog. And once you've done that, once you share it, and you have to have the Pro of Canva for this, you will download it and you'll do it with a transparent background. And then once you download it, you'll have it ready to go, and then you can just do what I did earlier and import it into Premiere Pro, and then just put it on your timeline and you are good to go. So that is the gist of how I edit my YouTube videos using Premiere Pro, and it's definitely kind of a tedious process at first, and it definitely takes me a good bit of time to edit my videos, but the more I've done it, the easier it's become and the quicker I've gotten at it. So it's definitely just something that you have to grow and learn how to do, but once you get used to it, it's very, very straightforward and pretty easy to do, just a little bit time consuming. But if you have any questions related to this video, please be sure to leave a comment down below and ask those questions, and I will try my best to answer your questions. But also, if you have any other kind of like tutorials or how-tos related to the YouTube or the embroidery or business or craft fairs, or really anything that you want to ask me, feel free to reach out in the comments or shoot me an email. And I hope this video was super helpful, and if you liked it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more behind the scenes small business content and craft fair vlogs, and I guess how-to tutorials for various activities. But yeah, I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye!